I generally assume that people who follow or visit my channel are aware of the halo effect to some degree. In brief, the halo effect is the attractiveness stereotype, which refers to the tendency to assign positive qualities and traits to physically attractive people. People often tend to judge attractive individuals to have higher moral values, better health, higher confidence, and greater intelligence, even though they don't have these qualities. When you look at an attractive individual, have you wondered, is it their face or their body that makes them attractive? Physical attractiveness can be determined by several traits. Even though most people don't know the science behind attractiveness, they are still able to figure out what's attractive and what's not. Although much research has been conducted to examine what makes faces and bodies appear attractive to the opposite sex, very little research has been conducted to examine which of these body parts is most important to one's overall physical attractiveness. Is it the face or the body? A 2009 study conducted by Thomas E. Curry and Anthony E. Little solves the unanswered question. They conducted this study using 127 men and 133 women. Each was shown images of 10 individuals of the opposite sex. Participants rated the images for their attractiveness, for either a short-term relationship or a long-term relationship. Photographs of the faces and bodies of men and women were taken specifically for this investigation, to examine whether bodily or facial attractiveness is more important in assessing overall physical attractiveness. Rather than using ratings of overall attractiveness and body and face attractiveness from different individuals, the experiment was designed such that independent ratings given to the face and the body can be used as predictors of the rating given by the same individuals to combine face and body images. A 1993 study by Buss and Schmidt suggests that both men and women are hypothesized to have evolved distinct psychological mechanisms that underlie short-term and long-term strategies. Men and women confront different adaptive problems in short-term, as opposed to long-term mating contexts. There are many reasons why we place certain people for short-term and long-term relationships. This is a completely another topic, and we will discuss this in another video. Since we place different individuals in different categories of relationships, participants were also assigned to rate the images either for a short-term relationship or for a long-term relationship, to investigate whether the type of relationship a person is seeking affects these judgments. Rating of the images was done anonymously via the internet using specially designed web pages. Participants in the experiment were solicited by advertising on the University of Liverpool's electronic poster system, and by sending the web link to the experiment by electronic mail, to potential participants from the University of Liverpool, the University of Bristol, and other people known personally to the authors. Participants were encouraged to forward the link to other people they knew. While such a snowballing procedure may possibly lead to a lack of independence in the residual errors of the analysis, it allowed the study to be conducted using a broad range of participants. Participants were asked to provide information about themselves, age, sex, nationality, ethnicity, and sexuality, before rating the images. They were asked to rate images of the opposite sex for attractiveness. They were randomly assigned to rate all the images for either a short-term relationship or a long-term relationship. A short-term relationship was defined as follows: you are looking for the type of person who would be attractive in a short-term relationship. This implies that the relationship may not last a long time. Examples of this type of relationship would include a single date accepted on the spur of the moment, an affair within a long-term relationship, and the possibility of a one-night stand, more like standing the whole night. A long-term relationship was defined as follows: you are looking for the type of person who would be attractive in a long-term relationship. Examples of this type of relationship would include someone you may want to move in with, someone you may consider leaving a current partner to be with, and someone you may at some point wish to marry, or enter into a relationship on similar grounds as marriage. Participants were shown the 10 body images sequentially, in a randomized order, and asked to rate the attractiveness of the images on a 7-point scale. Ratings of facial attractiveness were a better predictor than ratings of bodily attractiveness, of the rating given to images of the face and body combined. This suggests that facial attractiveness is more important in people's evaluation of overall physical attractiveness than body attractiveness, and therefore implies that facial attractiveness is more important than body attractiveness in human mate choice decisions. However, men preferred bodily attractiveness is more important in short-term relationships. This is particularly in the case of combined face and body images. The effect of the body ratings was greater in the short term. which basically implies that your face comes first in determining attractiveness. Please bear with me, I will be explaining that in a minute. This is not the only study done on this topic, there are other studies done on this particular topic, and they all concluded similar results. A more recent 2016 study done in China concluded the exact same results. They concluded, according to our results, face attractiveness is the major factor in judging the overall attractiveness of the opposite gender in China, for both genders, and under both mating contexts, long-term and short-term. The ratings given independently to the face and the body were significant positive predictors of the ratings given to the combined images. Face ratings were stronger predictors of the combined image than were body ratings. Ratings of the combined images were slightly higher under the short-term condition than under the long-term condition. The combined rating was also significantly affected by the model being viewed. As the ratings differed under short and long-term relationship conditions, the results were analyzed separately. While the face rating was the best predictor of the combined rating, under both short-term and long-term conditions, the effect of the body ratings was greater under the short-term condition than the long-term condition. The effect of the model being viewed was similar under both conditions. 42% of the variance in the female ratings of the combined male images. The face ratings and the body ratings were both positive significant predictors of the ratings given to the combined images, with the face ratings having a stronger effect than the body ratings. There was no difference in the ratings under short-term and long-term conditions. The evidence shows that your face is more important than your body. But it doesn't mean that your body doesn't matter at all. It does play an important role in determining your attractiveness, but its effect is not as great as your face. We decided to make this video because there's ongoing confusion and debate on this topic in this community. Most people favor face. They think it's easy to manipulate bodies just by losing or gaining weight. And on the other hand, it's not easy to manipulate faces. Which is not true at all. Now I agree body weight is an important factor, but it's just not the only one. There are other factors that make a body attractive. Factors such as your waist to hip ratio, waist to chest ratio, leg to body ratio, height, and others. To make it simple for you to understand, men who are tall with broad shoulders, and have above average muscle mass are considered attractive. On the other hand, short women with wide hips and big breasts are considered attractive. And these standards are not set by society. It is set by nature itself. Your looks are directly proportional to your survival instinct. For example, studies show big breasts and a high hip-to-waist ratio indicates youthfulness and fertility. That can be one of the reasons why men prefer an attractive body in a short-term relationship. Now, do we see most people with an ideal body? No, we don't. Observe people in the streets, you will hardly find someone with a near-ideal body. In men, height plays an important role in determining bodily attractiveness. But, in the U.S. population, about 14.5% of all men are 6 feet or over. Among CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, that number is 58%. Even more strikingly, in the general American population, 3.9% of adult men are 6'2" or taller. In 2018, more than 310,000 women and teenagers in the United States underwent surgery to have their breasts enlarged with silicone or saline implants, a number that has more than tripled since 1997, when there were just over 101,000 of these procedures. The surveys showed that most people don't have the perfect body, and it's not easy to achieve it. As I mentioned before, your body does play an important role, and you should focus on both face and body to improve your overall physical attractiveness. But keep in mind your face comes first in priority. For example, Indian actor Hrithik Roshan has a defect in his fingers. But suppose if he has a defect in his face, maybe in his chin or jaw. His attractiveness would have decreased drastically. In some cases, your height and muscle mass can be the reason of your low sexual market value. In that case, fixing your height and focusing on muscle hypertrophy would be more beneficial. A question may rise, why is a face more important than a body? Even though if we think about survival instincts, and I am talking about hunter-gatherers, because we evolved a lot, our body seems to be more useful. We will cover that in another video.